Hello everyone, welcome back. We're going to be doing some seed saving today. We have finished our gardening season for the year, and we're actually going to save some of our seeds in order to do for next gardening season. We're going to do some dry seed saving out of your okra and your peppers, and then we're going to do wet seed saving out of your tomatoes. The tomatoes actually have a gelatinous sac around them that you actually have to ferment the seeds in order to remove that sac, and then they are able to be germinated. The dry seed saving is a lot easier to do, but in all honesty, they're both pretty simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our tomatoes. This one will take a little bit longer than the other ones to actually be able to save the seeds on it, so we'll start with these. So today we're going to start with our tomatoes. You're going to take them and you're going to cut them in half. And then from there, you've got the inside of your seeds that you're just going to take and you're going to squeeze into a jar or a bowl. You can go ahead and let all of the pulp go in there with it, because during the process we're actually going to scrape some of it off and it won't be in there when it's time to start drying the seeds. Remember to use open pollinated heirloom seeds. That'll make sure that your seeds from your previous crop are going to be true to seed for the next year. If you happen to use any seeds that are hybrid varieties, which means that they've been genetically modified in order to produce nicer fruits or to produce pest and disease control, and generally they are not going to produce the exact same fruit from the previous year. After we've extracted our seeds from our tomatoes, we're going to add a little bit of water. You want about as much water as you have as pulp and seeds in the bottom. So we'll go ahead and fill that up real quick and then we'll come right back. Now that we have filled our jar with water, we're going to go ahead and put the lid on, and I'm just going to kind of shake it up to get it going. I want to make sure that I reduce the lid on it to make sure to where it's just covering it. During the fermenting process, it puts off a gas, and we don't want to warp the lid or have all of that gas built in there so much. So we just kind of let it breathe a little bit, and we'll set this aside for about 3 to 4 days. This one here has already been soaking for about 1 day. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of pour some of this off of the top, and then we're going to add some more water to it so continue the fermenting process. So I've drained off some of the pulp on the top of this, and I've just added that lid back. Like I said, it'll kind of continue to ferment and take that gelatinous cover off of the seeds. Same thing, kind of leave it loose so that gas can still escape. Okay, on the 3rd or 4th day, we're actually going to dump this out into a strainer, rinse off the seeds, and lay them out on a paper towel to let them dry. They'll want to dry for about another 4 to 5 days after that, and make sure that they're completely dry before you store them. Now we're going to go on to our dry seed saving. You'll notice that right here we've got a banana pepper. The seeds inside of here are still a little bit immature, even though this is the part that we actually like to eat. We want it to get a little more ripe, so as you progress from yellow to orange to darker orange, your red is going to have your mature seeds in it. So we're going to set these aside and cut into this. I'm just going to kind of cut it in half long ways, because it'll make it easier for these seeds to fall out. So basically we're going to take it and we're just going to do it like this to get the seeds out. And this is what makes the difference on the wet and dry seed saving, because you can lay these out and continue to dry them as is without the fermenting process. Seeds on your dry seed saving are obviously going to be a lot easier to extract. And then once we've got them out of there, we're just going to lay them on a paper towel and let them dry. Lay them out flat. You'll want them on one nice even layer. You don't want them stacked on top of each other if you can possibly avoid it. But the good thing about this is every couple of days you'll come through and just kind of move them around to make sure that they're evenly dried. And then by that time you can usually break up little clumps in case they gather together on this paper towel. You'll want to make sure that you label your paper towel, because if you do multiple seeds at one time, like say all of these peppers, the seeds are going to be very similar to each other, so you want to make sure that each paper towel is labeled properly with the correct pepper on it. So this one's going to be our banana peppers. Same thing with all of your peppers. You're going to want them more at the right point. So your bell peppers are going to turn from green into a deeper, darker shade. Generally red is going to be your overripe. Jalapenos will do the same thing. They'll start off nice and green. They'll start turning a little darker purple or black, and then they will go to red at their final stage too. Now, okra, this is another fun one. A lot of these things you can pull off of the vine when they're in this state here once they're getting to the overripe. Okra is another one that you want to make sure that you dry completely on your vine. You'll find that some of them will start off as green, but they'll start getting too long and woody to eat. So those are the ones you just want to let continue to grow and start drying, and this is where you're going to get your seeds off of your okra. Okra is going to be a really easy seed saving. This one here, you'll just crush it and just kind of loosen it up. And then as you see, the seeds will pull out really easy. And you can pull back each little side and they will just continue to fall out of the pod. You'll find that immature okra seeds that are still green on the vine will produce white seeds, and that's when you know that they are not ready. But once they turn to this darker black or brown, almost gray, I guess, then you'll know that they're ready to go. The main thing with all of your seeds is you'll want to make sure that they dry out completely. That usually takes about 4 or 5 days on a paper towel. Once they are completely dry, you'll want to store them either in an airtight container or you'll want to store them in a paper envelope. The paper envelope will allow it to absorb any extra moisture that may not have gotten out completely before you packaged it. And your airtight container, you'll maybe put in your refrigerator somewhere that's going to be nice and dark and a little cool. And there you have it, 4 or 5 days and we can let that go. Come back to our tomato seeds. Remember, this is the one that we just did. We added our water with our pulp. This one we have drained some of our pulp off, and we're going to continue to in 2 days to let that sack completely dissolve away from there, and then we can dry the seeds. So now that we have strained our seeds out after fermenting our tomatoes for about 3 days, we obviously rinse them off after we took them out of the jar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay them out here flat and try to spread them out over the paper towel. Same thing, you want to try to have an even layer, single on top of each other, or a single layer on the paper towel. Over a couple of days, you know, of course, they'll kind of dry and start sticking to the paper towel a little more. And you'll just go through and just kind of wash them with your hands to try to separate them and spread them out a little more so they do dry evenly. I have some seeds here that have been drying out for several days. And like I said, I'll just take them and I'll just break them up, make sure there's still a little bit of moisture in these, so they need a few more days. But you'll just want to kind of spread them out and make sure that they're even and they are drying evenly. And we'll just set these aside and let them dry. And as I said, when it's time to save the seeds and store them, you'll want to use either a paper envelope to allow for that moisture to release or absorb into the paper so it's not on the seed and causing rotting or even early germination inside of your package. Or once they're completely dry, you can do it in an airtight container, and this is going to go in our refrigerator, and we're going to be able to keep it dark and cool until next year's season. Thank you all for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you all learned something today. Be sure and check back with us for some new videos coming out soon. Thank you.